Keeping it real.
Hello, welcome to episode 122 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name's John Denton, with me, as always, Chet Roivas.
Bonge.
So if you've not listened to the podcast before, we've done quite a few, but here's how it works. 2 top 10 lists, 10 being the game that one of us has played the least this week, and 1 being the game that one of us has played the most this week. We go back and forth from 10 to 1. So let's stop mucking about. Chet, here's number 10.
Okay, I've actually got 2 games as my number 10 because I actually have quite a few games, but I've sort of bundled them all together.
Okay.
I came down to Bournemouth and stayed at your place, and we played a lot of games with some friends of ours, and I've decided to put 2 of them together for number 10. The first one is Tango Fiesta, which you and I played very briefly on 2-player. It was instantly fun. It felt good straight away. I look forward to seeing where it goes because, I mean, we shot a few things, grabbed a load of gold, blew up some buildings and stuff. Are there objectives later on in the later levels?
How it worked at that point was that you just have to blow up 3 objectives in the level, which were always those huts. I haven't played it since the new patch, and I think there may have even been a new patch since then because they're doing it every single week. They're basically doing a big title update every week. And now there are new objectives. There's stuff, I think, where you can double cross your partners. It's starting to really... I think the first month of early access was the game going from a state of being a bit all over the place into kind of a tight playable state. And now they're adding the other levels, the kind of story stuff, and putting all the details in. It's going to kind of elevate it from a kind of typical top-down shooter into something a bit more interesting. But yeah, I think it's now getting to the point we're seeing where it finishes up, or certainly as close to finished as it can be, because that's where it's going to change. I think it's weird to see a game updated so often, if that makes any sense. I mean, this is how early access works, but this is because it's a game as dense as something like DayZ. Not that I've been keeping up with DayZ, but a huge open world like that, I'm sure that you can't quite see immediately all the updates that they do. You'd probably have to delve into the patch notes and stuff like this. But with a 2D top-down bright game where they completely change the way it plays in one patch, it does make... Because even in the time that it's been out, the amount has changed. It's huge. It's got a hell of a lot better in that time. So if it keeps on that path, I'm very excited to see where it ends up. Definitely.
Yeah. It's annoying because we played it very briefly, and then we learned that there was a patch going out later that day. So unfortunately, we didn't get to play the most up-to-date version of it.
And now since then, there's at least one more version in a can.
Definitely, at least one. Yeah. My only complaint about the game itself was that initially it was quite hard to sort of discern between you and the enemies, so I kept shooting you because there didn't seem to be a lot of differences visually between the enemies and the other players. But aside from that, it's very simple in the state we played it in anyway, but raw simplicity in an action game is often a very good thing, so I'm looking forward to playing that more down the line. I paired it for my number 10 with BroForce, which is actually quite a nice compliment to Tango Fiesta, because sort of stylistically, and they're stylistically similar, the influences are similar, but they're quite different. We played this for a similar sort of length of time, 15 maybe 20 minutes, and it got good laughs from everyone in the room. Did you draw a comparison between this and Towerfall?
No.
Well, I thought that there were echoes of Towerfall, just because the way you have to pay such close attention to what your co-op partners are doing, because they can destroy the environment around you, thus completely stitching you up.
Yeah, we should explain what the game is a little bit, just in case they haven't heard it. We talk about it on previous episodes.
Well, I mean, go ahead. Yeah,
this is like a side-on 2D scroller in kind of the 16-bit style, where you play as the BroForce, but they're basically just people from 80s and 90s movies, but with bro in the name, like Robocop and things like that. You unlock more as you go along, but you start off with like an Arnie type and like Chuck Norris and a few others, and we unlocked Blade and a couple more that I can't remember. Eventually I've played it in a state where loads are unlocked and there's an absolute shitload of them, and I think they're still adding more. And it's kind of a tight and difficult 2D side-on shooter with like you can destroy all the environment in quite a cool way, and the levels are very short and snappy, and it plays nicely. It's good.
It is good, yeah. I mean, it was. I really enjoyed what I played. Similarly fun in the same way that Tango Fiesta is, but I do need to play more. I mean, I did like the fact that you could just destroy the environment, and you could.
A trait of both games, in fact.
Oh, can you do it in Tango Fiesta?
Yeah. You can shatter all the buildings in Tango Fiesta and use the grass as cover and stuff. But we didn't really play it long enough to do that stuff.
Yeah, either game, but there were echoes of Towerfall for me just because of how you were free to be as stupid as you like, and you could just blow the whole level to pieces and kill everybody playing it, which I thought was quite amusing. But both of those games, I'm really looking forward to playing more of them. They kind of a nice complement to each other because they're visually similar, but very different. At the same time.
There was the danger of them kind of cancelling each other out almost because their points of reference are so similar, but they don't. In fact, because they play so differently.
They are quite.
They do complement each other. You're right.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I didn't mention either of those games this week, but obviously I played them with you. But my number 10 is actually Need for Speed Rivals on PlayStation 4. The newer one. After you guys left on that weekend, I decided to dig through my PS4 games and just try and finish some of them off. Strike them off the mental list of things that I need to play, and I felt like I hadn't quite given this one enough, so I stuck it on and kind of drove around for a bit. And it's still fun when you just get into random scrapes with scrapes with random people that are just driving around the map, but there's just not enough of them. And you justify it at first because it was like new next gen, it looked nice, it moved nicely, handled nicely, and it has moments of real excitement. But ultimately, for what they try to achieve, I mean, we'll talk about another game later that operates in a kind of shared world, and that's what this game does, but it just doesn't fulfill its potential at all. I'm very interested to see if they could double the player or even triple the player count to between 12 and 18. I think it would change the game dramatically and make it very exciting. Maybe make the map a bit bigger, because the fundamentals are there, but it's just not enough of it, and it doesn't. I've said it 1,000 times. I think it feels unfinished in a very finished way. You know, it's not like an unfinished game that's falling apart. It's just an unfinished game because there's not enough game there, and the ideas don't feel like they've been fleshed out properly. And so, but yeah, it was kind of good because I was like, yeah, no, there's nothing more I can really gain from trying to grind through this. I'll just wait for whatever the next one might be, or that new Criterion game, which sounds very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of sort of blasting through the content of that game seems ludicrous because it does feel more like a demo than any game in recent memory. But yeah, I liked it for what it was, but it just wasn't much of anything. That's the problem with it. My number 9 is another 2 games. I've just smushed them together. I assume both of them are on your list, so I'm happy to wait until you get to them. Nidhogg and Towerfall Ascension.
Nidhogg isn't, but I put Towerfall later on.
Okay. Let's wait, and I'll add Nidhogg to the mix when you talk about Towerfall.
Perfect. Okay, my number 9 is is another twofer, as it were, squished together. It's FIFA versus PES.
That's my number 8.
No way.
Yeah.
So yeah, we only played Pro Evo with real people, didn't we, down here when you guys came down? In fact, we didn't actually play against each other.
I had a switcheroo with you, I think.
Yeah.
And then I played a game on my own.
That's right.
A couple. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we played a couple when we'd had far too much to drink as well, which only half of us could remember. And all of which was tremendously good fun, kind of lag-free online games, very, very exciting. Had the whole crowd, everybody in the room, kind of transfixed and roaring and stuff like that. There are obvious problems. It takes an age to get a game. It's not as responsive as it should be, but still very excited for PES 2015, as we always say. FIFA yesterday, though, you and I stuck it on for some unknown reason. I don't know why. I was waiting to play another game, which we'll talk about later, and just had a bit of time to kill. And you happened to be online at the same time, so we had two or three co-op games, and they were dreadful. I mean, they were dreadful. They were, especially as I've been playing so much PES. It's just a mess, I think. Yeah, the more I play it, and it's kind of exacerbated by that mode, I think. I don't think it's quite so bad when you play on your own. But it doesn't feel anything like football. That first the first game where my shot inexplicably hit both posts. And it's not like one of those moments that can happen in real football, because obviously shots do hit both posts every now and again in real football. It just felt like the game had decided that the ball was going to hit both posts. And then they ran down the other end unstoppably and scored a bicycle kick. And it's just like, this is just crap.
Yeah.
The way the game flows just has no bearing to football, and especially after you've been watching. I watch a lot of football anyway, but obviously the last month has been particular overexposure of watching football all the time. And then you go and play that, and it's like the animations are there, the sound is there, the players there, the lighting's there, but it just doesn't move like football and Pro Evo, for the most part, does. Kind of banging the same drum over and over again about these two, but I mean, FIFA 15 doesn't... I'll play it, obviously, but it's all about Pro Evo again. It really is. I just can't. Honestly, I couldn't ever face playing FIFA 14 again after yesterday. I don't ever want to play it again.
I think I'm in a similar position. I mean, the Pro Evo, the 2 games of Pro Evo that I played at your place, the 2 that I remember anyway. Like I said, one I think we did half each, and then I played one where I just played on my own. They were 2 thrillers, 2 absolute thrillers. One of them was just a 1-0, but I will take that over a 4-3 or a 5-4 or whatever the hell regularly happens in FIFA. I'm pretty sure I kept saying this aloud, but I was just like, it's laughable how much better Pro Evo is better than FIFA. I mean, I was stunned after those 2 games, quite honestly. Because, when is Pro Evo going to be better than FIFA? It's already happened. It happened last year. Most people missed it, but it isn't really a matter of opinion anymore. It's complexity versus shameless cheapness. Yeah. And I play, Dave Turner suggested that I play as a lesser team to try and sort of bring out the best in the game. So a friend and I played as Burnley, who I believe are a lesser team. I don't know.
Thoroughly decent lesser team, but lesser team than Real Madrid, by all means.
Yeah. I mean, it's they were a star or a star and a half down, so it's definitely a lesser team. But the game is exactly the same. It's just like you flicked a switch that gives everyone a head injury. So players just step off the ball, or they just fluff shots all the times. Or like my favourite thing is that half the side, whenever a ball comes in off a corner, they just head into midair. It's just like playing with a bunch of people with brain damage. It's funnier, but it's still a really piss weak video game. And in addition to that, I was round our friend Fraser's place the night before last, and he's a massive FIFA fanatic. So we played some of the old switcheroo, and it's just the same old thing. He did keep saying to me though, look for this cheat. He convinced himself that it was exclusive to the PS4 version, but I think it's just exclusive to FIFA. Whenever you concede a goal, or whenever your opponents concede a goal, they kick off, pass down to the nearest central defender, lob through ball straight away. Someone's on goal. One of their strikers has run forward and they're on goal straight away. And people were doing it non-stop. We must have had 10 games the other night. Every single one of them did it when they conceded a goal, and a lot of the time they just scored again. Fraser was like, I said that's just FIFA. That happens in FIFA all the time, but it clearly is worse after you've just conceded a goal. FIFA 14 is just fucking toilet. I mean, we've said it more than enough, but there's no comparison between Pro Evo and FIFA. None at all. Night and day. No,
there really isn't. And also the whole Real Madrid thing. You can play against Real Madrid on Pro Evolution Soccer and devise a formation quickly and come up with a game plan to stop them. And it feels, if you get it right, it feels immensely satisfying. And occasionally, Ronaldo and Bale will just run through your team and score. That's not unrealistic, but you can stop them. It doesn't feel like you're just wasting your time when you're playing against those teams. You could even theoretically stop them with like a lesser team by playing completely defensively, should you wish to play like that. But in FIFA, you can't. Not with that. When centre-backs are pinging 80-yard high through balls and dropping them on a sixpence, like, what's happening? No centre-back can do that, and especially not every single time. Anyway, enough about those games, I guess. Yes, till about a month when the new ones comes out.
Well, that was my number 8 anyway, so...
Okay. My number 8 then. Just a quick one. This is just a bit of a filler, but I have played a fair bit of it in the last couple of weeks. It's Titanfall. I don't know if it's on your list this week.
It's not, no.
Okay, just the Mark for Death mode really is very good. We talked about it briefly before, I think, actually reasonably extensively before, but it's just a VIP mode. It's been in games before where one person on each team's like the special guy and you have to kill them. But it switches person every single life, and it's the first to 10, I think. And it gives you this like warning that you're going to be the VIP before you actually are, or the marked, as it's called. And that allows your team to quickly strategize. It also allows the person that's marked a moment to freak out, which is always quite funny. And yeah, it's just another example of quick on-the-fly strategy. This isn't a game where you have to create deep, thoughtful, tactical decisions, game plans from the beginning, really.
Yeah, you can't. You have to just react.
Yeah, so it's more like reactive strategy and communication, and with the incredibly fast, satisfying gameplay of Titanfall. New maps are out next week. I assume the new modes are going to be rotated in quite soon as well. And it's just, we knew it would be a keep, and it really is. It doesn't seem to have done. I mean, I know it's sold plenty of copies for a single format. Well, okay, it's on PC and 360, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But it's obviously not quite done it's not smashed the walls down and become the number one game or anything like that. But yeah, hopefully enough people are excited about that game still going forward.
Yeah. I know a lot of people were looking forward to Titanfall 2 and whatnot, but there's still a lot of game left in the first one.
There definitely is.
Yeah, no question. I've played it a lot. It's just not on my list.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't have out to say about it. My number 7 is definitely on your list. I don't know how high. It's Sportsfriends.
Yeah, it's number 5 on my list. But let's just do it now.
Okay. Well, I mean, do you want to go ahead?
Okay. So yeah, on the weekend where David Turns, Matt Murray, our friend Zeno, you came round to my house, which is great. We only get to do something like that about once a year. Sportsfriends was another brilliant local multiplayer game, or collection of games, I should say, to bust out. So if you don't know what it is, I think it was kickstarted as a package, but it's a selection of games that have been doing the rounds at the expo circuits and game get-togethers and all that sort of thing, and kind of all gained a cult following. One of them's called Barry Ball. One of them's called, what's it called? Pole Vaulters?
I don't. I was hoping you'd remember what the hell. I've just written sticks down. I don't know what the hell it was called.
It's like pole. I'm going to call it Pole Vaulters, Pole Jockey. Sorry, that's really bad. That I just both assumed that the other person would know what it was called. There's one called Hokra, and the last one is Johann Sebastian Joust. Now I'll talk about that one very briefly. That's a game that doesn't involve the screen. I don't know if people have seen it or not. I'm sure some of you have. The idea being that everyone holds a move controller, and you have to make the other people move their controller while keeping your one still. Apparently, it works quite well with Move, but we could only do it with the DualShock 4, and they're way too sensitive. So there was 4 people standing in front of each other, and the second you went to go and push someone, you just moved your own one, and it was almost impossible not to do that. So it was just a bit of a bust, unfortunately. Seems like it would be good fun, also way too dangerous for stupid men to play in a small space. So we kind of all knew that this was a bad idea anyway. But definitely a cool idea. Moving on to Hot Crow, which is kind of difficult to explain, isn't it, that one? Do you want to give it a go?
It felt to me like 2v2 hockey. I mean, it's really fun, it's really fast, and it did feel like you were playing on ice.
Yeah.
So I did think that it's just you're playing with blocks. It's unsophisticated as possible visually, but it could be an ice hockey game if they wanted to sort of add on some aesthetics to it. But yeah, each person has like an end zone, and the amount of time that you spend in the opponent's end zone sort of fills up with colour. It's incredibly simple, but it's really, really fast. And trying to be precise when passing this puck or this ball or whatever the hell it is around was extremely taxing, and often felt impossible. I mean, it moves so quickly that often the time you sort of whack it against the wall, and then your teammate would catch it, and you'd be like, yes, but it felt accidental a lot of the time. Again, this is another game that I need to play a lot more, but first impressions were hugely... I loved the games we had of it.
Yeah, I did as well. It's starting to really get the hang of passing it about. Quite often, there might be the maps change. So one map will have one large end zone per team. Other maps will have, say, all 4 corners with small end zones. And they were quite cool because then you develop tactics on the fly where you naturally sort of split up from each other and try and pass it through the middle and stuff. So yeah, it was a really cool game. You can bash into each other to steal the puck. Cool idea, very well executed, very stylish. It was good. Really reminded me of something that I just cannot remember what it is, though, which is frustrating.
I had that. I was like, I feel like I've played either a game that the rules were identical to or a game that looked exactly the same. I was like, I don't quite know, but It was definitely fun. I mean, like the more we played it, the more engaging it got. It's kind of a shame that we didn't find enough time to play some more of it.
Yeah,
but, it was very good indeed.
So the next one, Barry Ball. I think that's probably the one that's made the most noise on this circuit. Certainly the one I'd heard about the most.
Yeah,
where teams of you can play 1-on-1, but we were doing it in teams of 2-on-2. Basically, you've got a level that kind of changes. So some ground. Basically, it can be like a sort of layered thing or a flat piece of ground on water, and there's a ball in the middle, and the idea is to get the ball in the other person's water and make it so it sinks to the ground. Each player, little man, woman, on little creature that you control, has a finite number of jumps. So and if you run out of jumps, it takes a while to recharge them. And so the idea is you're trying to chuck the ball across the map and also make the other team run out of jumps so they can't dive down into the water, get it back out. Another cool multiplayer game, really good fun, quite exciting. One of those games where tactics start to appear on the fly as you play it, and your skill level is a really nice curve to it. You can feel yourself getting better almost with every single match. I think all of us, well, certainly you and I, were having problems with the mechanic of the thing falling into the water. It seemed a bit too... It was like a bit too... Like it was very difficult to get back out of the water, and
the problem I had with it, I mean, it's essentially a 2v2 volleyball game, but the problem that I had was that you have to manage your jumps, so you have a finite number of jumps and they recharge after time. But I just felt like I was dying way too much because you are always jumping. You're jumping to knock the ball out of their hands. You're jumping to do. So I felt like whenever I was in the water, I was dead. Again, this is a game that I need to play more, and that's such a fundamental part of the game that I probably just need to get my head around.
Yeah.
But the whole time I was playing, I was like, there's got to be a more organic way of failing than just running out of those jumps, because it felt like I was just doing that all the time. But I don't know. Again, this is I don't want to say that that's a problem with the game because I didn't play enough of it. But there was something about that system that made me think, I'm sure there's a better way of... I don't know, it felt like a better system.
I didn't even mind the finite jumps, but it felt like maybe it needed an extra mechanic, like a last ditch, something you could do just to stop yourself dying. That was, I don't know, that was maybe very difficult or something or very risky to your team. I don't know, something like that. But
just sinking in the water, going after the ball, and then not having any jumps left because you're bobbing in the. I mean, it was frustrating, but then again, that's part of the game. So maybe we just needed to smash.
And I mean, it was definitely fun, and we had some very exciting matches. And then the final game, which is Pole Jammers.
Is that what it's called?
I'm pretty sure it's called Pole Jammers. Okay. It might not be at all. An utterly bizarre game where there's a piece of string basically going from one goal to the other, and a thing is hanging down from that. Basically, a ball is hanging down from the string on a pulley, and two teams of weird guys with poles, the pole vaulters, have to use both their selves to kick the ball and their poles to try and get the ball in the other end. At first, we weren't too sure what to make of it, but within about 5 minutes, I was in a fit of hysterics like I haven't been in for a long, long time. Tears streaming down my face. Even thinking about it now is just making me smile. Like, just one of those hilariously daft games that a combination of weirdness, physics, good design, and just general messiness just combines for fucking proper hilarity. I couldn't work out if this was like a technically brilliant game or not, but it didn't really matter because you were having tense, dramatic matches. Again, tactics were coming up on the fly, but this one really had the humour. That's fucking hell, properly funny.
It was, yeah. I mean, it was probably my favourite game of the bunch.
Yeah, I'd say so for me.
It felt like, to me, a cross between Mount Your Friends and the exact opposite of Mount Your Friends, because Mount Your Friends is a really meticulous skill game, and this is just a shit show, because you have one move, and it's a very small gesture with the left thumbstick, and you pole vault, you pit your stick in the ground, and then you sort of vault over it. I think I did that 3 or 4 times the whole time we played it, maybe 10 games or so. And what's brilliant is that everyone seems to momentarily forget how to do it. So you all just start sticking your sticks in the air and sort of tapping the ball along, and you're all getting tangled up in each other. I mean, it's fucking hysterical. It really is. I mean, I laugh like hell. I mean, it's perhaps the opposite of the other two games that we, Barry Ball and Hokra, in the sense that I suspect prolonged play of this will reveal something that's not quite meaty enough to stand beside those two. But I don't care. It was absolutely hilarious, and every time I played it, I laughed like a twat.
Me too.
Incidentally,
it's called Super Pole Jammers, by the way.
Super Pole Jammers.
It's definitely not. No, it's called Super Pole Riders. It's not called Pole Jammers, and don't Google that. Well, you could Google that if you want to, but I think you'll know what you get. So, yeah.
But the package is if you have any more than one DualShock 4 in your house, buy it. It's 10, 12 quid, is it?
I think it's 12 quid, yeah.
I mean, I'd say it's absolutely worth it.
As always, if you're in that situation, yeah, it's definitely worth it. Even probably just for that alone, but the other games are really good. And maybe if you've got Move controllers around, that Joust game's good. But inevitably, it doesn't matter, even if I had Move controllers, that would just end in me breaking my house. I know, just my house would be destroyed, especially if you played it drinking. No two ways about it. I would definitely destroy my house.
Yeah, it's a shame we didn't get a chance to play, but because I'd never heard of the game, I was like, wow, what a genius idea. It's kind of for the best that we didn't have full Move controllers, because, like you say, it would have probably got raucous.
Yeah, I would definitely try to pick someone up within about 3 or 4 minutes. There's no two ways about it. I definitely would have. I could feel those feelings creeping up my body. Okay, yeah, but Sportsfriends is great.
It really is.
Yeah. Okay, where are we? Where the hell are we in this list?
Okay, that was my 7.
Okay, so my 7 is Watch Dogs. Watch_dogs. The game that I played again when all you boys left. I was trying to get through the PS4 games, and I hadn't played this for ages. And I put it back on, and after a weekend of like sunshine and friends and laughing, this is just not. It really wasn't the right game to put on. It's a very dour. It's not a summer game at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it really isn't. But I did play a fair old chunk more from where I was, and I just kind of got sort of feeling I'm probably about 2/3, maybe a bit more through the story now, which I still like. But it felt like. It feels like there's no more. It doesn't have any more to give from an ideas point of view. The systems, the combat, everything's really solid, and some of it's really excellent. But every single mission was just getting to the point where it's go somewhere, hack, kill all the people, or chase people in cars. It wasn't giving me anything more. My guy's almost completely tooled up with the upgrade tree. I think maybe you moved through that a little bit too quickly, and whereas GTA, even I still haven't finished GTA. The later missions start to really increase the scale to exponential levels and have you doing things that you just don't do at the beginning of the game. This just feels like it's doing the same thing over and over again, and I had to kind of balance that feeling of I want to finish this game, I want to be a completist, I want to get to the end of the story, but do I really just want to do this over and over again for another probably 6-7 hours? Yeah. So I just kind of thought I don't really want to do that, really, not with other stuff coming out soon and other games to play that are still sitting there. So yeah, I made an executive decision to just kind of wind that one down. I mean, I put in hours and hours on the clock, well over 20 plus hours, so it's not like I hadn't given it its due, and I still do like the game, but I gave it too big a gap, and then it was just the wrong time to go back to it, and then it's not running out of ideas isn't fair, because it's not like it just goes to shit like some games do and sticks everything in a warehouse. Everything was still very accomplished. It's probably just a bit too big.
It is. There is way too much of it. I mean, that's the problem that I had with it. Is that I kept being inundated with sort of opportunities to go and do side missions. I was like, why? I mean, and then the game. I kind of made that decision at the also. I think the first half, maybe a little bit more than half, which is what I've done of the campaign, is pretty strong, and there were some excellent moments in it. I could just sense that it was going to start going down slightly, like you say, I kind of sensed that it was going in that direction, so I'd rather bow out and have positive memories of it rather than go and run around the houses, so to speak.
Yeah, that's it, especially as a lot of the side content is stuff that you end up doing in the missions as well.
Yeah.
Gang hideouts and things like that. And they're not at the level like in Far Cry, which a lot of it's lifted from structurally. Those gang missions are so good, when you're clearing out the enemy encampments, and they're so varied in how you can do them that you don't mind. You could just do the same one over and over again. It's that fun. But this isn't that. It doesn't have that much to it. So very good, fun, solid. Came out at a good time, but time to step away for me on that one. Some of these games are just so big. That's a lot of time.
Too big.
It's like 40 hours. I mean, I know it's value, but what is value? Because now I just have this weird kind of light feeling of guilt that I didn't finish this giant time sink.
That's always the problem I have with sandboxes. It's just you're always relying on the good taste of the people that made it, and that's why Rockstar are who they are, because they do sort of indulge in some things that they perhaps shouldn't. They do sort of force you to do missions that involve you running around the houses, but by and large they don't. And Watch Dogs is a game that I just knew straight away it was way too big. There was way too much content, and the heart of the creators was not in all of it. So I just, I left it. I still like it, but I walked away as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, my number 6 is a game called The Party on Xbox 360. It is an Xbox Live indie game. This is a difficult one. It's a series. It's basically a series of animation panels, and they have been drawn, I think, deliberately crudely. So all of the images look like they were made in Microsoft Paint from like 1998 or something. And it's a game where you read panels and there's text, and you press A to proceed, and occasionally there are multiple choices, and the wrong choice can kill you sometimes. But yeah, it's the most simplest thing in the world. The story is you're a couple of nerds, and they speak in sort of 90s dude speak, and they're organising an impromptu house party. It's a really short game, but I kind of like the fact that there was multiple endings. You basically choose a girl who you're going to go after, and you chat them up, and then you can either blow it or you don't blow it. And there are at least checkpoints. I mean, it is, like I said, slight even for an XSplit game, but you play it a few times, you press A, make a few choices. I mean, as the work of a beginner, it's hard to criticise at the same time as being absolutely not recommended for potential paying customers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I laughed at it once very, very hard. There is a joke in it, a mistake that you can make that really was funny, and that's not an everyday occurrence. So, I mean, the checkpoint thing's interesting because this is one of those games where it's instantly fail. You make a mistake and then you could go back to the beginning, but thankfully the creator or creators of this game have made it so that you can keep continuing and see what the game has to offer rather than having to go back to the beginning and screw it up all again. Anyway, I don't think many people will play this at this point in the 360's life, and they probably shouldn't, but if you were to, for example, buy it by mistake, it could be a hell of a lot worse.
Okay.
I mean, it's just I laughed once. Press A. It's nothing really, but I mean it's in the scheme of XBig garbage, it's pretty good.
All right, I'm not going to play that game, but yeah,
I didn't think you would.
Yeah, fair enough. It's a shame that the XBig doesn't really exist anymore, but
it does. No, believe me, it does. I'll talk about another game in a minute, and it's far from shite.
Okay, I meant on Xbox One, but yeah, I'm intrigued.
Oh, of course. Okay, yeah, okay.
All right, then my number 6. I've not written numbers on my list. How stupid of me. My number 6 is UFC, EA Sports UFC, the video game on Xbox One. On your list?
It's not on my list. No, not
okay.
At the moment. Probably next week.
So I kind of had my fill a little bit, to be honest, at this game. I think it had done a lot right, but the stuff it had done wrong was enough for me to kind of step away from it, to be honest. But I went online and I saw they'd released a content patch and looked at it. I was like, wow, that's amazing. A free content patch with 3 new fighters, one of which is the current UFC bantamweight champion, chap called TJ Dillashaw. Excellent addition, real Amish in the first place. He wasn't in a game, but fair play to them. The game's not been out. I think it's been out a month, and they've already got him in the game. Guy called Tyron Woodley, big welterweight guy, and a Japanese guy called Takeo Mizugaki. All 3, if you're a UFC fan, these are like pretty big name fighters. They could probably have charged for these guys easily, and they're free, straight into the mix. But kind of more interestingly than that, they've made some real fundamental changes to the gameplay. The first thing they've added was actually the thing that I opened my Eurogamer review with, the fact that you couldn't touch gloves at the beginning. Like anyone who watches UFC, it means nothing in the gameplay, but as I said in my review, it's such a weird omission that it kind of it kind of sums up a lot of what happens in the rest of the game. But that's now in there, so you can just hold the left trigger at the beginning and walk up, touch goals. Nice. It's just a nice touch, and it makes the whole thing feel a bit more real. They've also included what's called a sprawl on. One of the problems with the game is there are two types of takedowns, which were overpowered, and the animations are too long, and they're very annoying. And a lot of people are having trouble stopping them. They've now included an animation where a sprawl is basically a wrestling defensive move where the guy who's being taken down kicks his legs out backwards like a burpee that you might have done in an aerobics class, or you've probably done it naturally when someone's trying to rugby tackle you. And they basically kick your legs back and land with your chest on their back, so they're underneath you, basically. So you sprawl out on top of them. Fundamental wrestling defensive, MMA defensive, jiu-jitsu defensive move. Should have been in the game. The way it's animated and the sound effects of it feels like it was in the game, and I don't know why. It doesn't feel like they've done this in a month. It feels like it was already done. But that is now, it puts you, if you go for that power takedown and you fuck it up, you're now in a bad position. You know, the guy can take you back. The guy's in a good, strong position on the ground. So it completely changes the balance of the game. Instead of just spamming that takedown, it's now a real risky move, which is what it should be. And they've also changed some fundamental stuff on the ground in the grappling, which has helped it a lot. Like some of the stupid sweeps and stuff that you could do in the game, they're still in there, but now the windows to stop them are bigger. So it just makes the ground game a bit more fluid, a bit more believable. It's still far from perfect, and it still feels a bit amateurish, but it doesn't look as daft as it did to someone who watches a lot of UFC. Certainly that there's one move in the game which people who played the game a lot, it's called the scissor sweep from guard. Do you either know what that means or you don't? But it was you just never see it in UFC, and it was literally almost every single time you hit the ground in this game, it was happening. Ridiculous. That's still in it, but it's so easy to stop now that it's kind of made it very rare. And the final cool thing, which I didn't think they could ever have included really, is basically when you hit a flash knockout in the game, before you just stand there swinging your air while the other guy collapsed in a heap and you would win the fight, but it looked stupid. Now the game allows you to just to chase them down and hit follow-up punches on them. There's nothing that the guy who got knocked out can do. They're still knocked out, but you watch a UFC fight, and when a guy's knocked out, the other guy will chase him down. That's what you train to do, and the ref pulls you off. I know that always sounds funny, but I always say it. And now that's in the game, and it just, honestly, I mean, I got knocked out a few times playing online, but the way it looked, like, you know, I shot him for a takedown, got caught with an uppercut, got dropped backwards, stiffened up, the guy followed in, hit me with 2 punches, the ref stopped it. That makes a huge difference to the excitement of the knockout. That's the most exciting part of the sport. The knockdown, the chase, the finish. That's why people love this sport. So they've nailed that. It's still a game with problems. I don't know how much more they can do to this version of the game to elevate it, really. But this has made a real difference, and it's just really nice to see it. They just came out there, and you know, the patch stuff would have obviously been free, but to couple it with 3 new fighters, I think it's pretty decent, to be honest, because we're not used to being treated decently, and that's pretty bloody decent, especially from a company that, you know, quite rightly in some cases gets a lot of grief in EA, but here they've definitely done the right thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was nice to see. Although, to be fair to EA, their sort of post-launch support of Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare has been superb. I mean, there's new modes dropping all the time, new maps and stuff, and it's all free. But it was not, I mean, because that was one of our, when we spoke about it a few weeks ago, we were like, it's not like they're going to doctor it after launch, and that's going to be a problem. But the fact that they've made those changes is really great. You said that you'd lost 10 rounds on the bounce online. Is that just you getting used to the new gameplay, or is that...
I just had a bit of a nightmare when I went back online. The problem was that I was a lot of the time wanting to pick Conor McGregor after what happened on the weekend. I just was the Irish guy, was becoming one of the biggest superstars in the sport, but his stats aren't quite. I mean, he's not like a top guy yet. It's more about the chase with this guy in real life. But his stats aren't good enough in the game, and everybody just kind of picks Jose Aldo in that weight class, or who's the best guy, or another guy who's the best guy. And you can be basically winning the fight, using good boxing, good movement, and then just get hit on the chin once and just finished. And it was just driving me up the ball. Eventually, I just said, okay, I'm just going to play your game. It's the equivalent of FIFA, really. I just basically started picking Real Madrid myself, picking Jose Aldo, picking Josh St. Pierre, picking John Jones, and it's annoying, but I was having a lot more fun after I did that. Wish that I could pick the slightly worse guys and play with a good game plan, but the way that the knockouts happen don't seem as based on physics and timing as they did in EA MMA. It does seem more like a statistical thing. Quite how they managed to get it so perfect in EA MMA, I don't know. But then again, that was a game that had a lot less in it, so they managed to tune everything that was in it so perfectly. Well, not perfectly, but so very well. But yeah, I'm still excited to see where they can take this game. Hopefully, the next one will be a lot more complete.
Okay, well, that's good. I mean, that's definitely admirable. Although, would you recommend going back to it?
If you've got it, oh yeah.
Yeah,
definitely. It's a better game now. They've also done some stuff with the stamina, so you can't really spam attacks in the same way that you could do. It chews up a lot more stamina, and you also can't just stand there blocking the whole time, so that chews up a lot of stamina as well. It's a bit weird that it seems to take as much stamina to stand there blocking as it does to continually throw head kicks, but from a gameplay point of view, it kind of works. I think they need to completely overhaul that for the next game, but right now they can't. I mean, I don't think they could do what needs to be done on this version of the game. They need to have a real think about how the stamina works, and there's a lot of work to do to make it where it needs to be, quite frankly. But if you've got the game, it's definitely worth going back to.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay, well, my number 5 is Bioshock Infinite on the Xbox 360. I said at some point recently that I was the only piece of DLC that I never played was the Clash in the Clouds DLC, and all Bioshock Infinite downloadable content on 360 is on sale at the moment. So I picked up Clash in the Clouds for £1.50 or something. And yeah, it's unlike the other two pieces of DLC, which are all story-based, it's Horde. You just defeat waves of enemies. It's incredibly simple. But I forgot how much I love the combat in Bioshock Infinite. Was it... I can't remember whether it was you that said it, or I remember reading... that there were a lot of people at the time that said, I love Bioshock Infinite, but I just don't really like the combat.
I'm not one of those people, but that is... Okay. That's like the overriding narrative about this game now. That they love the world, they love the setting, and all that sort of stuff, but they just hate the combat. I find it kind of curious as well. I don't like the death system. I will say that you just respawn just around the corner, and everything's still going. You know, you're not reset. I'd rather it's traditional checkpointing system, but apart from that, I dig it.
Yeah, I really dig it. I mean, this sort of. Wave-based Horde mode, you get the biggest scores for executing combos and using different weapons and different vigors, and money comes in very handy, obviously, because you need to purchase all of those things. So you earn extra cash by completing these blue ribbon challenges at the same time, and they come up before every wave. You know, one will say only use melee attacks, only use a shotgun, take out the snipers last, etc., etc. And there's a really nice interface that there's sort of this very small hub world that's kind of sectioned off into chunks for different, like there's different leaderboards over in that corner, and then there's different environments over in that corner, you know, in that corner of the space. So I mean, it's quite thoughtful for a sort of Horde add-on, in terms of its design. But yeah, basically, I absolutely loved it. Every time I've gone back to Bioshock Infinite, for the two pieces of DLC, and then I went back when the game got put on PS Plus. And now this, every time I've gone back, it's just risen in my estimation even more. And I love the combat. I love the combat using the skylines and the tears and the different weapons and figures and stuff. I love it. I mean, like all truly great action games, the onus is on the player. The onus is on you. If you think the action's boring, you know, jump on and off a skyline, and midway through a jumping off it, RPG someone in the face, and then jump down, finish them off with a pistol, and then send a few nearby chumps into the air with like a bucking bronco, and then wallop them off the side into the abyss. It's a fantastic shooter. It was a fantastic shooter then, and it's a fantastic shooter still. It stands strong even without its world or its narrative, both of which I hold in very high regard. My only issue is that you can't save midway through a game. So in each area there are 15 waves you have to complete, but if you quit before you've got to 15, you have to go back to wave 1, so you can't dip in and out. But it's all about high scores, and you build your high scores without breaking breaking it up with a death or fluffing one of the blue ribbon challenges. So it's a tightrope walk. So that's understandable, really. It's a shame that you can't dip in and out for a little chunk, but I don't care. I had an absolute blast with this, and I'm going to play it some more. I love it.
Yeah, I actually did play some Bioshock Infinite over the last 2 weeks. I played some more of Burial at Sea 2, but I didn't want to talk about it until I'd actually finished that piece of DLC, which I haven't yet. Yeah. It's pretty big, isn't it? It's bigger than I thought it was.
It's definitely bigger than the first one, yeah.
But yeah, I'm the same as you. I mean, that whole thing has always confused me a little bit. I don't think it's as good as Halo, but it's definitely better than a lot of games, and it does allow you that kind of freedom of expression, which is something that I've always talked about in campaign shooters, or even in action games, like you say. That's a hugely important thing. You probably could just stand there killing everyone with a carbine from behind a piece of cover if you wanted to.
Exactly, but why would you?
Yeah, exactly. Or you can go and express yourself and be creative, and the game allows you to do that exactly as you explained. So, yeah, it's up to you, really. It's one of those. It's like when everybody said that they didn't like that Bionic Commando game that came out, the 3D one, and I just thought it was like the closest thing I'd played to Halo in terms of the combat. It was so exciting, like just jumping off, and the swinging mechanic was really difficult but very satisfying once you got it right. And sort of swinging around the corner of a building and firing a rocket and then swinging underneath and latching onto an enemy and stuff. I just thought it was fucking amazing, but everybody said it was shit. So I was just, what can you do? It's just one of those baffling ones. But yes, I've got nothing bad to say about that game, really.
Yeah, Infinite is just. I mean, it's like I said, gone up in my estimation yet again. I just think it's a tremendous piece of work.
I scored it 10 out of 10 when I reviewed it, and I don't regret that score, despite the narrative now being that it wasn't very good. But I think that's just one of those things that happens where everybody kind of forgets. It doesn't matter really, because all the reviews say it's great, and that's what people will read in the future, in some sort of future where people I don't know what maybe they can then go back in time and there's a different version of themselves or something. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's a fucking fine game and I love
it. Indeed it is. My next entry on my list is actually Sportsfriends, so let's sack that one off and go to your next one.
Okay, well, my number 4 then is a game called Amazing Princess Sarah on the Xbox 360. It is an indie game, and it is 69 pence or $1. This is a game that is on XBlig, but it was recently on Steam Greenlight, and it has been greenlit, so it should be coming to PC shortly. It's been 2 years in the making, and it looks and feels like a really, really high-end Super Nintendo game. It's a side-scrolling platformer, and it's not really particularly original at all. I mean, I suppose its main point of difference is that you primarily fight with scenery. So you have a very weak, close proximity sort of melee attack. But what you're mainly doing is picking up grandfather clocks and wardrobes and corpses and using them as projectiles. Okay. There are switch puzzles and moving platforms and disappearing platforms and whatnot. So it's not original, but it's really, really, really tight. Your attacks and your jumps both demand great precision. So you need quite a bit of skills to get through to the end. And there's a fantastic, just a really simple and very pacey level up system and a perfect checkpointing system. I mean, these are things that you'd expect in a sort of side-scrolling action game, but not necessarily on XBlig. It feels definitely like a high-end XBlig game. And there are some excellent concepts in it. There's these undead enemies that appear out of nowhere to stitch you up unless you throw them, and then they disappear forever, so you have to manage that at different points. There's also a boss that can only be killed if you kill certain enemies who then explode into projectiles when they're thrown.
Okay.
I mean, it's qualitatively amazingly consistent for about 70% of the way, and this is the problem with it. 70% of the game is absolutely superb. I mean, excellent. One of the best. I mean, putting Bleed to one side because that's more of a shooter. I wouldn't class that as a platformer. But this is the best platform game I've played on XBlig, bar none, absolutely without question. The problem is that it's far from perfect, and that's because it gets so difficult later on. I reckon I'm probably 80% of the way through it, maybe 70% or so, but it gets really hard later on. And I will admit that as I've gotten older, I have less and less tolerance for really difficult games, but This is a game that gets really cheap. So most of the problems arise from the fact that there is this minimal input delay when you hit jump. And that's not a problem for 50-60% of the game because you're not really doing a whole lot of precision jumping. But the whole latter half of the game is about precision jumping. And there are loads of sections where you're moving over long pits. And if you fall, you die instantly. And they go on for way longer than they need to. And there are loads of bits where you have to move over platforms that vanish over very long distances again. And if you fall, you either die or you have to go back and do it all again. It's just... And those zombies that I mentioned that rise from the ground, they start being triggered as you land on a platform. So if you're trying to save your health, that your health's gone. They're going to come up and take your health away. And there are spikes everywhere, so if you fall, you're dead. The save points start becoming sparser and sparser. And at a couple of instances, there are save points dangled in front of you. So you waste several lives jumping to try and land on them to save.
Right.
Before realising that they're inaccessible. So it's just... I don't know why game developers do this. I mean, there is smart design that challenges players, and then there's weirdly, just strangely aggressive con tricks almost that seem to serve one purpose, and that's to ensure that as few people complete the game as possible. I don't know why you'd want... I felt aggressed playing this. Like, what? I mean, I will say, I could not put this down for 3 days. Every time I went to play something, I had to play this first because... it does have that tautness and that really, really high-end quality that's just... I wanted to complete it, but I just got to a point where I was battered down so many times by sort of techniques that I thought were really, really cheap that I couldn't continue. I mean, I may yet go back and finish it because it is the kind of game that's just... The music's really great too. I mean, production values wise, aside from the fact that it's modelled to look like a Super Nintendo sort of stroke Mega Drive game, are really great. There's even makeshift achievements and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure the difficulty will be way too much for people. The difficulty in the final third of the game will be way too much for most people. But in terms of value for money, it is peerless. I just think it's 70% of a near masterpiece. I mean, for a game that I just discovered completely by accident on XSplig of all places, I just thought, and reading that the creator of the game, it took 2 years, and you can totally tell that for the first 70% of the game. It's a remarkable achievement. I mean, it's a shame that it's not going to get its audience yet. I mean, I'm hoping that when it arrives on Steam, it gets more of an audience, but. Aside from the end, when it did that thing that I can't handle, where it just employs too many cheap tactics, it is 69 pence on XSplig. If you have an Xbox 360, despite the fact that you almost certainly won't finish it, or maybe you will, maybe I was terrible at it. I don't think I was, maybe I was, but if you have an Xbox 360, just buy it.
That does sound pretty good.
It's really, I mean, I'll stick a video on our YouTube channel. I was amazed by how good it was. It's just got incredible quality, which is what made the final third of it so disappointing, because it was like, do you not want me to finish this game? Do you not want me to get to the end? Knocking me down to 2% health and then having a zombie rise on the platform I'm standing on where I can't jump anywhere else. You're dead. Why?
Super Princess Sarah.
Amazing Princess Sarah.
Amazing Princess Sarah.
It's 69. I can't believe it's 69p. That's 69p well spent. Even if only the first third was not ridiculously difficult, it would be worth. I mean, it's quality, a high quality game, no doubt.
Yeah, that does sound good, and it's on Steam as well. You say
it's due. I mean, it's
due on Steam.
So in the not too distant future. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's good to hear.
Very good.
My number 4 then was and is Towerfall. Which is obviously on your list mixed with Nidhogg. So I'd be interested. I've talked about Towerfall a few times now on this podcast. So I'd be interested to hear your take on it.
My take on Towerfall or Nidhogg?
Well, both really, just however you want to do it.
Okay, well, I mean, Towerfall Ascension is probably the game we played the most last weekend.
Yeah.
You've explained at length. It's a stunningly simple one-screen combat platformer where you attack each other with arrows, and you can have 2, 3, or 4 players. And it's really quite hard to fault as a local multiplayer game. It's funny and it's exciting, and again, you've spoken about it at length. So the only thing I'll say about it is that I am not 100% sure that it works best as a 4-player game. because there's so much going on. You can't. I mean, you need two sets of eyeballs really to play it efficiently. I mean, that's part of the fun. But when it was at its absolute best was when two people had been knocked out and everyone was watching the final two. I mean, you need spectators. There's no. If you're just two people in a room, I don't think it's going to be half as good as if there's four people with two of you watching. But then again, I suppose that's part of the fun is knocking two out and seeing who's going to be the two finalists. But I mean, yeah, I mean, you've spoken about it. It's an incredible thing, so ridiculously simplistic and just so superb.
Yeah, just tremendous fun every single time we put it on. I agree with you that it was perhaps a little too hectic at first. With four players, I'd only played it really with two and briefly with three. But you're completely right how you describe it, that you do need two pairs of eyeballs to keep track of everything going on because there's arrows going all over the place. But the more we played, I did start to feel like I was getting a grip of that and kind of controlling the space a bit better. And when you catch arrows and fire them back at the idiot that fired it at you in the first place and the entire room erupts, that's one of the reasons why playing video games is amazing. And in complete contrast to a game like Bioshock Infinite, which does very, very different things, but that's one of the reasons why gaming is such a special thing.
No doubt. Or firing an arrow up and just not realising that gravity is going to send it straight back into your forehead.
Yeah.
That was one of my favourites.
The Matt Murray.
Yeah. I mean, it is an excellent game. It's just a shame that PlayStation 4 pads are so expensive that it's not going to be.
Yeah, it's effectively like 180 quid this game.
Yeah,
if you want to play it properly. But well, it wasn't because obviously everyone had one. But yeah.
Yeah, but it was absolutely excellent. I mean, the other game we played was Nidhogg, which I just bundled in with the two for my number 9. But again, you've spoken about this pretty extensively. It looks like an Atari 2600 game, and it's a fencing game that's like a tug of war and an ongoing round of paper, scissors, stone at the same time.
Yeah,
where you can only really win with a win streak, and that normally comes with a few sneaky tricks that are at your disposal. What's impressive about Nidhogg is that matches can last quite a while. They're just constantly, there's a toing and froing between who's in control. But it doesn't really stop being entertaining to watch. It's just a great source of drama and comedy, and I loved it. I just want it on consoles quite badly. I thought it was a tremendous game.
Yeah, and that does have online, as I said. Most of these games don't, but this one actually does, and it works well.
Has there been any update on?
It's coming. It's definitely coming. I don't know when, but it is coming to PlayStation.
Okay. Oh, I can't wait. I mean, Nidhogg was, if it wasn't for dueling javelin sticks or whatever the fuck that was called, Nidhogg was probably my favourite. Just instantly, I mean, because I love the fact that they put, as soon as you run through or as soon as you kill your opponent, you can just run through.
Yeah.
You have to stop the other person from running. It's just such a very, very clever little system. I know you remember when it came out, you thought it was overpriced, but I could, whatever price it was, what was it, 12 quid or so?
Yeah, I think it was 12 quid, yeah.
I'd pay that for that game.
Yeah, I more thought maybe it was potentially overpriced for other people, but I didn't mind that price for that game, if that makes any sense myself.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I love Nidhogg. I can't wait. I want to play it again.
Well, we shall, I'm sure, at some point, but definitely when it comes out on PlayStation. And as I said multiple times, it is online, so good news there. Good.
True.
Yeah, it's a shame not being able to play these things online. I get it, but it's a shame.
Yeah, for reals.
Okay, so that was my 4.
Okay, my number 3 is a game called 60 Second Shooter Prime on the Xbox One. Have you heard of this?
No.
I think this was originally a Flash game, and then it was a PlayStation Vita game, and now the sort of I think the definitive version is on Xbox One. In the simplest terms, this is Geometry Wars, but kind of broken down into chunks that only ever last 60 seconds. Okay. Like many shooters of this ilk, it's basically a crisis management sim where you offset your progress against power-ups and the enemies themselves. And you progress through the game by passing through these portals that pop up. And passing through the portals makes everything more difficult, enemies more prevalent, etc. But that's where, obviously, the high scores are. It's really, really simple, visually and mechanically. But it's instantly gripping and Moorish like you would not believe. given the title and the concept, I sort of instinctively thought that this might belong on mobile devices or was originally an iOS game or something, but that no way in hell. It's so hectic and the controls are so precise that it just would not work on anything that doesn't have buttons. I mean, it's a quintessential console game. It's not original at all. I mean, it's very, very well crafted and perfect for the Xbox One. I mean, this is the kind of indie game that should be on Xbox One, if only because I've been, in the last week, I've been waiting for friends to jump on Battlefield or Titanfall or something, and you can just go, Xbox, go to 60-second shooter prime, and it almost takes longer to say that than it does to load it, and then you'll bang, game or two, 60 seconds each time, if you survive. Bang, done. I think it's too modest. The package is too modest just to be like an outright classic, but I'm going to get some serious play out of this. It's going to be on my Xbox One for the foreseeable future, and shooter fans should definitely have a look. It's £3 or so, £4 maybe, and it is definitely worth a look. Definitely, there's even a mode, an infinity mode, where they break the concept. So there's a gameplay mode where you just keep picking up time power-ups and you see how long you can go for. And I always like that. I like when there's something that's as rigidly structured and then they just throw it out the window with a sort of sideline mode. So yeah, not a classic, but I mean, have a look for definite. I mean, I'm going to be playing it for quite some time.
Yeah, that sounds cool. That sounds up my street. Definitely. On really Xbox One, there's no trial. There never is there?
I don't know. Have they changed that? Who knows?
I think there. I don't know. Who knows? That machine.
But it's £3 a shooter you play for 60.
I mean, it's fine. Yeah, I was just wondering. Okay, yeah, that sounds good. That really does. Yeah, I hadn't heard of that at all.
Neither had I, actually. I saw someone playing it and then I looked into it and I picked it up and I was like, yeah, pretty damn good.
Talking of games people hadn't heard of, I'm sure you haven't heard of my number 3, a game called Wayward Manor. Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't. No.
I was asked to review this by GameCM. I hadn't heard of it either. It is a game on PC and Mac that has been penned or in collaboration with Neil Gaiman, whose books I haven't read, but I'm very well aware of him as an author and, involved with films and shit like that. So I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. What the game actually is a really kind of piss-weak puzzle game. You play as the manor, basically. The game starts with a cutscene where a voiceover talks about you're basically the spirit of this big house. You're either a ghost trapped in its walls or you are the house itself. I couldn't quite work it out. And you don't like the people that are in there. So the idea is that you haunt them. You haunt them by manipulating stuff in the house. Cool concept, really cool concept. But the execution is pretty damn shit. But the first level, for example, is you're in an attic and there's a maid in there and she's cleaning stuff. The graphics are awful. Everything's just really low poly, kind of boxy. They look kind of a mixture between weird box people and Weebles, those toys that you just push over and they come back up.
Is it designed like that or is it just cheap?
It's designed like that, but it's kind of the type of look that makes you feel a bit unwell. Just everything about the game makes you feel a bit unwell. Made me feel a bit unwell anyway.
All right.
So it starts off with the cutscene. And the writing's obviously of a higher standard than most games, but it's perhaps overly prose heavy, overly verbose in that kind of way. It's very much that American look at quintessential Englishness from the past, if that makes any sense. A kind of Harry Potter vibe, but not done. I'm a Harry Potter fan, but not done, with the skill or craft of Harry Potter. I don't know how much. I don't know if Neil Gaiman actually wrote this himself or if it just. I don't know how far his involvement was, but it's that kind of remember that 3DS game with the little guy in a hat and a cup of tea? I can't remember what it was. Henry Hatsworth.
Henry Hatsworth?
Yeah, Henry Hats is just all that shit. Like Americans, this kind of group of Americans who seem to like this, like English people in top hats and a fucking monocle. Okay. I don't. I mean, we're English, so we're not going to like it. Okay. But you know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
It's all on that vibe. So it's lots of unnecessarily long words and things like that. But it's fine. That side of the game is fine. The gameplay itself is just, it's just piss weak. I can't think of a better way to describe it on this podcast. Obviously, I didn't use that term in my written review. But the maid's walking around this room. You have to scare her 5 times. in order to get a big skull that you can click on, and then all the stuff in the room goes in the air and spins in a circle, then you win the level. To scare her, you have to click on the 2 or 3 things in the room that you can click on, and each one of them will have a reaction. So, for example, in this first level, there's a little trapdoor. You click on it, and it makes a rat run to another trapdoor. Do that when the maid is walking between them, and it will scare her. You can click certain things, and that will make cobwebs appear on them, so she'll go to them to clean them off, and so you can kind of manipulate her around the room. It's incredibly tedious. I mean, it's fucking tedious. There's no AI at all in the person. They just have routines that they just do. No personality whatsoever. And you just basically really, by trial and error and nothing else, clicking the shit in the room to make this woman move about, and then eventually scare her a few times. Get to 3 scares, and then, like, for no reason, just more stuff just appears in the room, like another trapdoor or another fucking bottle that you can knock off a shelf and it'll hit her on the head. Get to 5 times, like I said, a skull appears, you click on it, everything floats up in the air, spins around in a circle, and then the level's over and you're on to the next one. You get extra stars for doing specific scares that it asks for, but there's no meaning to any of the stars, so it's just if you want to do it, if you don't want to do it. And it's piss weak, it's tedious, it's also unbelievably irritating. You know that I have a problem with repetitive sound effects. This might be the worst game I've ever experienced for that. It's every single time you click on one of these things in a room, it has its own sound effect. But all of them feel like nails down a chalkboard. In fact, I'd rather hear nails down a chalkboard than most of these. Just
any examples?
Violins that sort of go, or like there's one of the characters is like a robber. The guy in the fucking stripe, he's like a robber. I don't know, but he's called the Bull. So if he sees something red, he charges at it like a bull. Right, fucking stupid. But anyway, every single time you click on one of those things, it has a little flamenco guitar. Every single time. But the worst thing of all is that they overlap each other. So and the game asks you to click different things to manipulate things. So you'll have the violins, and then the guitars will kick in, just forever. There's a level where there's fucking little annoying children licking giant lollipops. I've always hated children licking giant lollipops. It's always made me feel sick. It's worse if it's an adult dressed as a child. But and there's these troughs of sweets in the room, and you have to click the sweets, and then they go blah, blah, and it's this horrible lick. It's just horrendous. I hated this game. It's a John Denton naught, but I gave it 3 out of 10. But fucking crap. Avoid.
I mean, this sounds like 2 things. It sounds like an iOS game developed in a really impoverished part of the world, and it sounds like the kind of game that has like a pre-launch buzz around it. It's
actually made by a Californian studio called The Odd Gentleman, which is another annoying thing. Which is they made another game called The Misadventures of PB Winterbottom. Again, this is just making me want to scratch my own knees off. But apparently that game is really good. I don't know. Apparently it's good. I don't know. I haven't played it. It definitely does feel like an iOS game though, but it's not on mobile devices, which is weird. But it even has the end screen of an iOS game, and that thing, you know, that picture you get in iOS games, which is 3 dots with 3 lines next to each dot, which means go back to the menu, and there's another one with a circle with an arrow. Mm-hmm. All that iOS shit with 3 stars for levels, all that stuff. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it appeared on iPad, but yeah, don't get it anyway, even if it does. Pre-launch buzz. I'm sure Neil Gaiman. He's a huge author, so I'm sure people are excited. And that's the thing I wrote in my review is, like, as far as I'm aware, I don't really know huge amounts about Neil Gaiman, but you know, based on that film Stardust and things, he creates these, like, as far as I'm aware, you know, kind of sweeping, dense worlds. Right? And he's kind of a world-building fantasy author, isn't he? So I'd have thought a game based around his stuff would be, you know, there's so much potential there, I'm sure. And this just is just, why would you? I don't know. I could not work out why this game exists. There's no reason to exist. Why? It's not like there's a great set of mechanics that needed something. I just don't get it. It was just a horror show.
Is it out now?
It is out now, yeah. It's only about £7, I think, but don't buy it, please. Well, you can do what you want, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay, I will definitely avoid that. Our number ones and number twos are the same, I assume.
Well, they must be, yeah. Which order have you got them in?
I've got Destiny at 2, Battlefield 4 at 1.
I've got them the other way around, but let's just do them that way.
Okay, well, Destiny then, what do you reckon?
Wow, so yeah, the beta's out on PlayStation. Well, it's out on everything now, but we've been playing on PlayStation 4. The beta is essentially what you get in the alpha, plus, I think, 3 extra story missions, is that right?
That sounds right to me.
Yeah, and a bit more polish, it looks a bit nicer, a bit more content, I think there's a bit more kit and stuff like that. But if you played the alpha, you kind of know what to expect here. And first things first, I absolutely love it. I mean, I really absolutely love it. It's a game that I have put onto the free roam mode that you unlock. You can free roam around this area called Old Russia, which is a decent sized open world area. And there's loads of baddies that just keep spawning in or coming in dropships, and you can just shoot them forever. It's kind of like a grindy thing. There's little missions you can do in that area. But I've just played that for ages, just doing that, because I just enjoy the combat so much. It's kind of like an advanced version of Halo's combat, because the characters have these superpowers that charge as you get kills. The bar charges up, and then you can unlock them. The one I have is called the Hunter, and he has this special gun that shoots these. It's basically like flares. They're really cool, but the other 2 classes, one has a big Hulk smash who jumps in the air and smashes the ground and everything goes flying. Another one has like a fireball. I haven't played with that one yet. But yeah, it feels like Halo. I've said this before. The combat feels like Halo. The AI feels like Halo. It has that feel that Bungie have nailed and nobody else has ever really got close to. And then, yeah, the 3 extra story missions were all fun. They were quite short. They're more like introductory stuff. This feels like it is the beginning of the game, so it's more kind of taking you through how the game works. Because everyone understands how running around shooting things works in a Bungie game, but obviously this is a MMO effectively. So it's kind of introducing people like me, really, who haven't really got any experience with MMOs into how these things work. And it does a fairly good job in that, it kind of explaining how these are the story missions, this is the open world, here's the loot. These public events can happen while you're in the open world, where the screen goes black and it's really dramatic. Then something will drop in one area. Everyone has to, because there's other people around when you're in the open world, just people that aren't in your co-op team, just random players. And then suddenly everyone will turn their attention in this giant tank that drops in, and you have to take out in a certain time limit. Or there's one where you have to defend a weird like asteroid thing that drops. I'm not 100% too sure what it is. There's another one where a really tough enemy drops in and you have to kill him in a certain amount of time before he runs off. Those are all really good fun. Very cool. And then on top of that, you have multiplayer, which I haven't played a huge amount of. I'm not too sure how well balanced it is now, but it's like a domination mode at the moment. Good fun, but one of the vehicles is really overpowered at the moment, and that's kind of put me off playing that. But, Bungie know how to make a multiplayer game. Whether they know how to make a multiplayer game as well as Respawn, I'm not sure. But it's the other stuff that's really got me excited about the game. The world building is amazing from a technical and kind of a... Story is the wrong word, because if you were to break down the individual lines of dialogue, and the story is kind of both kind of cliched and done, but Bungie stuff always elevates above that. I mean, the Halo story itself is... I've never really been able to follow it, but it's more just a kind of an essence that those games have. And I think so much of it comes from the music that makes everything feel grand, yet almost... I don't know, it feels like it wants you to come to its party and be its friend. You know, you're all on a kind of a journey together, and it does that. I mean, something that Halo's always done, and Destiny, it has that from the opening bars of the music, quite frankly. And it doesn't bore you or kind of languish on huge amounts of backstory. There is a couple of cutscenes in the beta. And that stuff is, you kind of take it or leave it, really. But it kind of transcends that just by creating this atmosphere and the sound design and everything like that. And I love being in that space, even when you just break up the illusion of seriousness by just dancing with a bunch of people all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Like, Bungie games they've always straddled that line between being kind of daft and kind of serious. You know, one of the first things that happens in the second level, the first proper level of Halo, if Halo is the fucking, you know, you run around the corner and a bunch of grunts start squeaking and running away like weird little balloon clowns. And I was thinking, what the fuck is this game? Destiny kind of has that similar sense of humour. But overall, I'm blown away. I cannot wait. I cannot wait for the final version of this game. This game's going to ruin me. It's going to take all my time. I know it. Bungie, for me, you've absolutely delivered. I'm interested to hear your take, though, because we talked briefly on text this morning, and I know you were a bit pissed off by the kind of strike mission, but I want to hear your talk about it and to kind of see what you have to say.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, did you get to the bottom of the fact that, you know, for some reason in the alpha, strike teams could be 4 people, and in the beta they could only be 3? Is that going?
I to be honest, and I'm sure I'm wrong. I thought they were also 3 in the alpha, because there was 3 classes. So, but I might well be wrong. I don't know. But as far as I'm aware, it's 3. But
in the alpha, I definitely played a game with 3 other people.
I know you can play multiplayer with 6.
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't.
It was okay. Like I said,
yeah.
I'm sure I'm wrong because I didn't really play with other people in the alpha.
That was curious. I don't know whether that's an indication of where they're going with it, or whether that's just something. I don't know. It would be curious to me if they focused on 3-player strike teams rather than 4, because 4 is just the natural avenue to go down. As soon as I started playing the beta, I would it feels so great. I wasn't going to start playing it because I didn't want to spoil it. I want to be sort of fresh when the actual game comes out, but I couldn't resist eventually, and it feels great straight away. It looks amazing. I mean, Bungie promised that it would look better than the alpha did, and oh boy, does it. Yeah. I think it's not quite a quantum leap, but it's definitely significantly more lush than the alpha was. What I'm primarily worried about is the bosses. In the beta, you fight this big spider boss, and that boss has several different attacks that you have to plan against, and you basically dismantle it piece by piece, and it's a process that takes half an hour or just under. But it's bracing. You're communicating. You're doing bits and pieces. You know, it's an epic piece of the game. But after that, you fight this big purple sphere, and it had the most obscenely large health bar, and it took the best part of half an hour to kill it. And I'm not entirely sold on the idea of battling a bullet sponge for half an hour of my life. I mean, there were attacks that we could use that were more powerful than others. It would sort of expand a little bit, and then you could throw grenades in there, but it had no unique attacks to sort of battle against or tells to take advantage of. I don't know. I just that boss immediately after the spider, I just thought,
yeah,
this is half an hour of my life we're talking about. I mean, I do like the fact that there's a countdown to respawning. So I was playing with 2 other people, and if there's 1 player left, you're just screaming at him to go and hide. But I can see you're just there. I'm going to come. No, don't go and hide. Come on, I'm respawning. The drama that comes from that system is. Throughout the whole time we were playing, that's one of the best things about the game. Trying to make sure that you don't blow a respawn by one of your guys trying to come and pick you up. But that boss, I just thought it took almost half an hour of just shooting, going and hiding, shooting, waves of enemies, kill them all, shooting. I just thought that if that happens more than once, I'm going to be incredibly disappointed.
Well, what I will say about that is 2 things. First, that's a strike. It's a strike mission, as they're called in the game. It's not part of the story. It's like a very specific, siphoned off type of thing that you choose to go and do with other people, and it's deliberately hard, and I think the bosses is deliberately overpowered. So there's that for one. So if we were just playing through the story, I don't think it's going to be like that. I don't know, but I don't think it's going to be like that. With regards to when we did, I did it with the same 2 people you did, and it did take us a similar amount of time to do that purple ball. I enjoyed all of it, but I did have the feeling in the back of my mind. But about probably 10 minutes before the end, we figured out, one of us figured out that sniper shots were doing an incredible amount more damage than anything else. And so when I switched to the sniper and another person had the sniper, we basically took half of its health bar down in the last 5 minutes. And I actually went on YouTube and I've watched a guy with 2 other people do that whole boss in 5 minutes, and the spider tank boss in about 5 minutes as well. So it was. I think those sections are going to be more about finding the exact right tactics to beat those things, and then once you do, focusing on that as a team. I'm not necessarily justifying what that boss was. I don't think it was great anyway. Although it was great fun. There was no point where I wasn't having fun or it wasn't exciting. But yeah, I mean, those strike missions are separate from the natural flow, the narrative of the game. So yeah, I'm not sure I'm sure they're going to play with the balance and all that sort of stuff. But I think if you're worried about that being a part of playing Destiny as from A to B to get to it from the beginning to the end of the story, I don't think it's going to be like that. But
it wasn't. I have no problem with the difficulty. It's just the spider. We were blowing. We were focusing on different legs, and then it would focus on one of us. A couple of us were running around the back. Pop, pop, pop. It would spit. We were using tactics and we were strategizing. This thing, walk behind the wall, shoot the thing. Walk behind the wall, shoot the thing. I just thought, this is just a bullet sponge.
Yeah, but
if they do it more than once, I'm going to be really disappointed.
With that boss, though, I mean, what you're supposed to do is one person distracts it while other two. You have to snipe right in the middle where you get the critical hit, and every time you do that, you get about 400 damage. If you just pop in with your gun, you're getting about 1. And if you can concentrate doing that and making sure you clear out I'm not justifying. I didn't think it was amazing or anything like that, but I do wonder if we went and did it again. I think we could take that thing out in 5-6 minutes easily.
Maybe so. I mean, it was just the fact that it didn't see. I mean, going from a really, really great, well-structured, compelling boss battle to one that just felt like it was just there to be there. That was kind of all I felt after that boss battle was that I hope there are not more encounters like this in the game, because that will really kind of ruin it for me. Where we weren't really strategizing. I mean, we were just running around corners and then running back. I don't know. At the end of the day, a beta is never supposed to be a definitive representation of the final game. I mean, I'm hugely encouraged by it. I mean, same as I was with the alpha, I cannot wait to play the game, and that's why I didn't want to play the beta. I didn't want to spoil it as such. But I just want the full thing now.
Yeah, I do. Good Lord, I do. For people who've got older consoles, my brother's been playing the 360 version, and I've been watching some YouTube videos of different people playing it. Seems very, very good. Obviously, it doesn't look like the next gen versions. The PS4 version, in particular, at the moment is definitely the best looking. But yeah, I think if you've got an older console, it doesn't seem like this is a Watch Dogs type fucking Lego job. This is legit. My brother Ollie says it's the best looking game he's played on 360. So yeah, it really does look the part, and it looks like it plays the part as well. So yeah, fear not if you're on the old stuff. It looks like they've done a Titanfall style job with it rather than Watch Dogs. I picked those two out because they're the two recent games that I've seen on the older consoles. So there you go. Okay,
good. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it immensely.
I'm beyond pumped. I'm in a new state, beyond pumped.
Okay. All right. Well, number 1 then.
Batters. Battlefield 4 Dragon's Teeth DLC. Do you want to go?
No, go ahead.
All right. 4 new maps. I was asked to review these for Eurogamer, and so I did. 4 new maps. Based around, there's always a story tie-in, something to do with China. I can't remember. I wasn't really paying attention. But the idea is that they're more infantry-based maps than the naval assault stuff that was happening before, and some of the bigger maps that are in Battlefield 4 generally. There are a few vehicles in the maps, but they are primarily infantry maps. One's called Propaganda, which is set in kind of a snowy square, I guess you'd call it, with propaganda being piped out with loudspeakers and a statue and things like that. I thought that was the most basic of the 4 maps. Kind of it operates in a straight line between one into the other. Nice map, nothing hugely memorable about it, but good job there. Next one of the maps was Lumpini Gardens, which is a bigger map with kind of a central a central couple of bridges and a like sunken garden thing. Very cool map. Has a cool evolution thing. I don't know if you've seen that, where this huge thing tumbles through the trees in the background and smashes through a train bridge. Doesn't hugely change the level, but it looks very cool. Good design, good choke points for rush. It works well on conquest as well. I'm going to talk about the new mode at the end of this. The next map is it called Pearl Market?
That sounds right.
Yeah,
it's definitely something market.
Yeah, I'm going to say Pearl Market. This is a kind of narrow alleyways, high buildings type of map where they have the capture. Like at least one of the capture points is on a roof, like multi-story buildings. So it's all about like making sure you control the higher ground and you can pick troops off from below. Cool map for very, very strong personality. There's some cool little destruction stuff where you can blow things up and it creates bridges between the rooftops. Sorry, and it doesn't feel like too many other Battlefield maps. It kind of has echoes of the Grand Bazaar. Grand Bazaar in Battlefield 3, but it doesn't have the big open spaces of that map. Cool map. And finally, probably the pick of the bunch is Sunken Dragon, I'm going to call it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which is it felt like a real instant classic, Battlefield 4 classic. Pretty big map with centered around like a restaurant that's kind of collapsed into the ground in the middle. A big, really ornate Chinese restaurant, and there's a thing that you can do where you can change the dam. So the whole central area, which is dry basically, can fill up with water, and it fills the restaurant up with water, and you can get in there. There's a capture point in there. You can get in there with jet skis and stuff. It's really, really cool. It looks amazing. Like the background's all skyscrapers, and you can have battles in the skyscrapers and helicopters flying around. Just a really fucking cool map. Very, very cool. And they've added a new mode called Chain Link, which I thought was a genius new mode, quite frankly. This is, it's got a combination of conquest, but with a very specific take on it. There's multiple points on every map, like more than normal, 5 or 6. And they're all basically in a straight line. And the idea is that you have to capture the ones that are next to each other, and that will create a link and like a pretend link between the maps. So say you get A, B, and C, that will create a link between A, B, and C, which means even if the other guys have a couple of capture points and they're not linked together, they're not next to each other, they don't count. So you need to create a big link between your capture points, and that will make their spawn tickets bleed quicker. So the longer link that you have compared to them, the quicker their spawn tickets will bleed. This works brilliantly in 2 ways. One, it kind of creates a natural front line to the battle, which it does stuff that, that's what Rush does. It creates a natural front line to the battle. So you have these skirmishes over particular points. But what it does better than Rush, even, I think, is the fact that you can also flank and start capturing the ones round the back that would be typically like home base control capture points. So it's all about striking that balance between creating a link from your home base or creating a link in the middle and making sure that you can keep up with people trying to flank you. It's only a 12-on-12 game mode, so it's not quite as hectic as 64-player Conquest, but there's never enough players on the map to control everything solidly at once, so there's always something going on. There's always something where you're going to have to be chasing behind you or thinking about what's going on, and it just felt like this is such a great idea for a mode. When I first played it, I thought it was probably too gimmicky, but the more I played it, it feels purpose-built for these maps. It only works on these maps as well at the moment, but it feels like something we're going to see more of. What do you think?
I love Chain Link. I think it's a small... Isn't it 16v16? Isn't it 32 players?
I didn't see more than 12v12 in the times that I played it on PS4, but you may well be right.
I haven't counted, but no, you may be right. It's a smaller game type. This map pack is the closest thing that we're probably going to get to a close quarters equivalent because everything's smaller.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't shoehorn Chain Link into a 64-player game type because I don't think it would work.
No.
I'm kind of stuck about this map pack because the great thing about the past expansions is that they've worked across all of the different game types, and these maps in Conquest don't really work at all because they're not built for maps. Propaganda, when you start that on Conquest, they give you a couple of tanks, but the map's not built for it. You're trying to sort of go over these walls that are clearly trying to lock out tank combat. They are infantry based, which is why I don't understand why they've put a couple of vehicles in almost all of them. Did you think this is a good looking bunch of maps?
I thought Sunken Garden looks amazing. What were the other ones? That one with the high buildings kind of just is what it is. Kind of looked like something out of the Medal of Honor games, I thought.
Yeah, right.
And then what was the... Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was bad looking. No.
It's weird. We were playing on Xbox One, and all of us playing it were saying, this is by far the ugliest map pack. Just into the resolution's quite fuzzy, and they don't look as rich.
No, I didn't. No, but with them, the PS4 version is a higher resolution anyway. So.
That's true. I don't know. We were looking at the thing is we were looking at it and we were discussing how, in comparison to Naval Strike, we just thought this looks really quite drab. And then my girlfriend walked in and she was like, "Wow, look at how gorgeous that is! This is the best looking map I've ever seen." I was like, "Oh, okay. Obviously, I'm out of touch here, so I don't know. I don't know what that's about quite." One of the best things about this map pack is that it's the official return of 32-player Rush. Because 32-player Rush has been available for a little while, because if you had your own server, you could tinker with the settings. But Rush has been 64 players, and there have not been enough tickets. So to play official servers, 32-player Rush has been an absolute joy. And Rush on these maps, it's glorious. It's Battlefield in all its glory. And playing 32-player Rush has been an absolute joy. That's the best part of this map pack. But I find just this chunk quite indistinctive, really. I mean, in comparison to the other map packs. I mean, Sunken Dragon, which you spoke about, looks like the building at the beginning of Inception.
Yes.
And it's absolutely great on Team Deathmatch because it's just that restaurant, but you have 3 floors, and it's so big that you're constantly being taken by surprise. On Team Deathmatch, that's a classic. But I think, it's the most confused of the sort of quote-unquote themed expansions, because that's what they've always been called. They've never been called map packs.
Yeah.
I mean, the maps are big, but they don't work with vehicles. A couple of them may be classics, but I guess I need to play them some more. I put in about 8 hours with my friends, and I'm a little bit nonplussed. I mean, the great thing about Battlefield is that these premium add-ons are genuinely themed. Ever since Battlefield 3, Close Quarters, Armored Kill, they're all genuinely themed.
Yeah.
So themed expansion sounds like a pompous name for a map pack, but it's not really. They are themed, but this is just a map pack with chain link attached to it. So as good as it is to play Battlefield, again, I should probably stress, I've just come off the back of playing non-stop Titanfall and being completely enamoured with it and thinking it's the greatest thing ever. So going back to Battlefield does genuinely feel like a step backwards, as much as we enjoyed it. Following Naval Strike, which, as I said at the time, felt like a gift, almost an apology to people who'd stuck with Battlefield past the unbelievably shaky launch. This just feels like a few more maps, new game mode. As good as a couple of the maps are, and as good as the gameplay mode is, I'm a little bit underwhelmed at this point.
That's fair, and I always bow to your greater knowledge, really, when it comes to Battlefield. But I must say, I thought it was a really, really tight pack. But then again, I'm more of an infantry guy anyway. So
that's true. I mean, it's difficult. I don't know. It's just something about the maps that just really. When we tried to play them on Conquest, and they just had like a couple of tanks, I'm like, 40% of the map is inaccessible by a tank. Why is that even there? I mean, I don't know.
I did mainly play Chainlink, to be fair.
So did we. I mean, that's what we've been playing. But when the first 2-3 packs or whatever have been so, they've been pretty terrific, really. This just seems like a slightly lesser thing. You get the sense that they're busy on Battlefield 5.
Or that Star Wars game or whatever. Yeah.
Or whatever they're working on.
Well, this is DICE LA, isn't it, that do these? It's not DICE Sweden.
Are they working exclusively on DLC now?
Yeah, DICE LA is the DLC team.
Did they do Naval Strike?
Yes.
They did?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, that's surprising then, because this seems like, like I said, a slightly more misguided, slightly confused than the last DLC packs. But what do you know? We're going to play it some more over the next week and maybe talk about it again at some point.
All right. There you go.
Right.
Went a little long, but that's what happens when we take a week off. We come back strong. So thank you very much for listening. As always, it's great that you do that. Much appreciated. I was going to say the fucking rules of the 2 top 10 lists, so you just do this because my brain's obviously stopped working.
Okay, well, thank you very much for listening. We're on YouTube. There's new content on YouTube almost every day. YouTube/Chet and Journal. Just put Chet and John into YouTube and you'll find something. We're on Twitter at John Dids and at Chet Roy's, at Chet and John's. We're on Facebook, but there's no point in looking at that because who uses Facebook? But that's it. Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back next week. Take it easy.
So if you like the sound of some of the games that we talk about, some of the smaller games particularly, more often than not, especially the indie games, they do get put on the YouTube channel. Definitely well worth watching them. And obviously the bigger games get put on there as well with their bespoke footage. Yeah, I used the word bespoke. And check it out. I mean, it's all right, honestly. And then you've got to watch Chet's Week in Batters because that's the business. He won't say that because he's too modest, but it is. So fucking watch it. That's my recommendation. And don't play Wayward Manor. Watch Chet's Week in Batters instead. See you later. I'm going now. Bye.
Yeah. Goodbye. Goodbye.
The darkness is coming back. We will not survive it this time.
Its armies surround us. The Fallen are just the beginning.
What can I do?
You must push back the darkness. Guardians are fighting on Earth and beyond. Join them. Your ghost will guide you. I only hope he chose wisely.